Hello, I'm Benjamin Gardner and I'm the president here at Canterbury College Students' Union, and I'm going to tell you today why today on the general election you should go out and vote. Now today we're in a college, a college with GCSEs and BTECs and A-levels, and it's so important that you vote on those matters and your opinion on those matters is heard. Why should 60-year-olds, the highest voting group who've studied O-levels and GCSEs, have more of a say than you on your education? And it's so important that you get out and you vote for the people that you want in government. If you don't vote, you can't complain. And maybe you think that your voice doesn't matter and your vote doesn't count because there's so many people, but in the last election 10.7 million people voted Conservatives. But over 15 million people that could vote didn't vote at all. It's so important that you get out, you vote for your party, and you make sure that your voice is heard. It's unbelievable the change that will happen in the next 5 years, and you want to make sure that it suits you and it suits your future career, and we all have a happy world. Please vote. Goodbye.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Butler and I'm the Welfare Officer for Canterbury College Students' Union. Now today being General Election Day, it's really important that you go out and you get your voice heard. Voting does make a difference, and if anyone tells you otherwise, they're lying. Going out and voting is your right and it's your responsibility to get your voice heard. It's all part of the democratic institution that we have in this country.
Hello, I'm James Flanagan. I'm the Liberal Democrat parliamentary candidate for Canterbury and Winstone for the upcoming general election. I think it's very important that young people take part in the voting and democratic process. Politicians today are making a number of decisions, locally and nationally, that will impact upon the futures of young people. And those are being taken at Westminster level, local council level, and it's therefore important that young people get engaged and have their say and make sure their voices are heard, to make sure that they're heard in any decisions that are made. Now, politics has turned a lot of people off recently. The almost Punch and Judy type approach where politicians are confrontational, and we see this in Prime Minister's question time, that's turned a lot of people off, including young people, and that needs to change. We need a new constructive form of politics going forward where parties aren't afraid to cooperate, aren't afraid to agree with each other or indeed disagree at times. And indeed, that is the way forward and is a way of engaging more people and making sure that young people and people from all age groups get more involved with politics. And I think a good way also of making that happening is to have votes for 16 and 17-year-olds. It's happening in Scotland already. That needs to happen across the rest of the UK if we're to have any hope of making sure that young people get involved in politics. So I would say please do get involved. As I said before, politicians today are making decisions which will have an impact on future generations and on the future of young people. So please make sure your voice is heard, register to vote, and go and vote in the general election and the local elections. Thank you for listening.
Tom Maisley. I'm Vice Chair Policy and Campaigns of Labour Students nationally, and I've been asked today why it's important for students to vote. I could tell you that it's important to vote because it's a debt you have to pay to society, because people died for your right to vote and tried to guilt you into it. But it's about more than that. It's about more than the debt that we owe. It's about voting for values and voting for what you want to see in a government. The choice at this election, or any election that you're likely to vote in your life, is a simple one. It's about what do you want to be governed by? What set of values do you want at the heart of your government and in your society? I am a party supporter and activist in the Labour Party because I believe in the values of compassion, community and prosperity, that we should come together to achieve things, and that we should pick up those when they fall down and look out for those who can't succeed and help them to succeed. So it's important to vote to make sure that you have a voice, because people will look over students, look over young people and ignore us if we don't stand up and say, this is what I want to see from a government and this is what I want to see from my representatives. So vote to be heard.
I'm Jim Gascoigne, the UKIP candidate. You've asked, why is this important? Governments influence all of us, whatever our age group. So here is our opportunity to influence governments. If we don't take it, we are the losers. So we need to take this election seriously and vote.
Hello, I'm George Metcalf and I'm a local candidate for Blean Forest. I'm a Conservative, but it doesn't really matter what you want to vote. The important thing is that you should vote. You see, people have fought very hard to get the vote. Without the vote, we do not have democracy. And you've got to remember that your ancestors have fought incredibly hard to get the vote. Women, particularly, have worked so hard to get the vote. And if you don't vote, it wastes it. And also, if you don't vote, you will not look after the interests of future generations. And you as students will have your own families, your own children, and you will be here long after I'm dead, And it's so important that you should vote now, your children should vote, my children should vote, my grandchildren should vote, because we must keep democracy going. We absolutely must. So don't waste it. Get in there and vote, no matter what party you support. Although I hope it's going to be the Conservatives.
Hello, I'm Stuart Jeffrey. I'm the Green Party parliamentary candidate for Canterbury and Whitstable. I'm at Canterbury College today talking to students and trying to explain why it's important for students to vote in this general election. Politics is about the future, and clearly older people like me have had a lot of our future already. So our politics in the Green Party is very much focused on the next 10 years, the next 20 years, the next 100 years. We think in the long term. We think about the future of our economy, the future of where we're going to get our energy from, where we're going to get houses from for people to live in, and what sort of jobs we need in the future. Those choices are made by people in Parliament. Those decisions need to be influenced by people of all generations, and therefore we campaign very hard with younger people in particular. We campaign for votes for 16-year-olds, for example, and for students, because clearly it is their future that we are most concerned about. We're the only party, for example, that is campaigning against fracking, against TTIP, the only party that campaigns and calls for no student fees, and indeed a living grant for students. So we are very fundamentally different to the others. So my message to students at the college and across Canterbury is check out your candidates, check out that you're registered to vote, and make sure you make a decision based on what's best for you and your children and the country in the future. Thank you.
So there you go. You've heard from myself, our welfare officer, and some representatives from parties. So please go out and vote today. It'll only take 2 minutes at your local polling station, and it's so important. Thank you.